Season 4 of the Betway SA20 is upon us, and man, things were happening, things were moving. I'm excited to get stuck into all the talking points, and I've got my boy Chris Morris alongside me, the man with the best sneaker collection in the game. I tell you that.
Undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly. Hi, my brother.
Good to you, Fiso. Good to be here, man. Good to see you.
It's all about the post auction analysis today.
I'm tired. Auction can go,
I can imagine yesterday, you know, when you saw some of those figures, your eyes must have been popping out of your eyes.
I was happy. Because the nice thing is, we're talking about it last night and now. I love to see local talent being invested in. You know, it's usually the big overseas players that go for the most amount, but to see our local boys across the board cashing in makes me very happy. So South African tournament, it's going to be sick.
All right, Chris, look, let's get stuck into some of the questions around the auction itself.
Let's go.
First things first. I always ask myself, sometimes you'll see teams say, oh no, we're only retaining 3 players. What thought process goes into behind the releasing of players or putting players back into the auction at the very beginning? Because sometimes you look at players like an Aiden Markram, you're thinking Sunrisers surely would have been like, there's no way we're letting this guy go.
Yeah, so I think Aiden, we'll talk about Aiden in a separate thing because it's like a completely different thing in my opinion and how his situation worked out. But I think it's different for a big auction. So your first 3 years, you can keep a lot more players.
Okay. When
the big auction comes around, that's when you have to almost replenish your squad. So you can only have so many retainees, so many pre-signings and all of that. So I think what my Cape Town did so well is that they planned for their 7 starters straight away. I mean, I'm saying that most teams that got retained, those are their starters, but they had 7 starters and quality starters with their pre-signings, their retainees, and their wild cards, if you want to call them that. They've covered 20 overs straight away in their retainees. So now you're going from, right, we've got 7 starters. I've covered my 20 overs with world-class bowlers. I've got 3 or 4 seriously good batters, all-rounders. And then from there you can build. And that's where you start filling with local talent and start getting maybe a player from last season that you can maybe get for a little bit cheaper and all of that. So you got to build your team first before you carry on with the rest of the squad. And that's where I think they were brilliant at that. Durban were exactly the same. Yes, they had a lot of cash, same as the Pretoria Capitals, a lot of money to build a squad, but their retainees weren't as many. So Cape Town, for me, were excellent in their retainees. So they had the core of their team straight away. 7 starters, and then from there you can move around the squad. So that's the first thing for me. Aiden Markram in the Sunrisers, there's a lot of other things in play. So Aiden plays for the Lucknow Super Giants in the RPL. And naturally what franchises around the world are trying to do is align all their players in the same franchise teams. So Durban's Super Giants, who are obviously with LSG and the RPL, aligned together and say, right, we're going to get our boy who plays for LSG. We're going to get him, no matter what. And that's where it all happened. And you saw the dogfight for JSK for Devil Brevis, because Brevi wasn't playing in the RPL. Injury happened. Chennai picked him up. He walked in there and dominated. And all of a sudden, Chennai are going, we're going to keep this guy because he's a big deal and he's 22 years old and we need him for the future. So that's why last night JSK went hard, and obviously at Pretoria Capitals, the Sky Blues came through and said, no, he's a local, we'll take him. Thank you very much, he's one of us. So infighting between franchises was brilliant. But in terms of setting up a squad, you get your core first, and then you move on from there. And there are a lot of names that were squad fillers and all of that, but you need almost backup for backup in a squad, and that's where that comes into play.
Okay. Look, what I love about that is that it's almost like there's stories within stories.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not just a pure thing of like, well, here's X amount of money, we want to get our player. That's what we want to see. I think that's what makes the auction exciting, is kind of like who then matches up with regards to the players that they're looking to sign.
Correct. And it's an unbelievable process. I mean, these guys spend months and months and months before the auction to get this sorted. They do mock auctions, which are absolutely horrible, by the way, because your brain is sore by the end of it. But they have just got, so I actually had a chat to Mark Barcher, because you always see the guys on the computers and hold on, and they're going on the computers. And what he was saying is, because he's done a few auctions in his life, is that they've got backup players for backup players for backup players. So they'll have a name on the block that they want, they'll auction, or they'll bid, can't get him, they throw him out, and then another name will pop in straight away. So it's almost like a process.
It's like
it's unbelievable amount of prep that goes into these things. So like, I mean, a lot of people look and go, oh no, they're towards the end, they were just picking anyone. No, there's a lot of prep that goes into it. And the guys knew exactly what they wanted. And if you can't get one, you got to get the next best, or someone that's on par with the player that you lost. So it's an unbelievable process. My head is very sore today, and not for the reason you think.
No, look, no comment. No
I left
comment.
home straight away. I was tired.
Look, I mean, I think we've covered pretty much the first one with regards to the strategic buys. Obviously, MI Cape Town is the one that you were speaking about. For you, did any team overpay for a player, which might, impact them long term, with regards to that decision?
Well, I think the one I would probably mention,
And we say that respectfully when you say overpay.
Yeah, the one I think probably that was a big surprise that none of us saw coming in terms of an overpayment, if you want to call it that, was Bryce Parsons I think he went to Pretoria Capitals. Yeah. So why so overpay is because he wasn't someone that was on our radar really. It was someone that you go for 200,000 Rand, that's his base price. If you get him for 500, you're happy. He's a young player, good for the future. He's like a mini Quinton de Kock. So he's only going to get better and better. But when there was a standoff, I can't remember who I think it might have been with Durban. I think there was a standoff where he was at 600 or something.
And obviously he plays for the Dolphins, so knows this.
And then DSG said, no, we're right to match him. And then Pretoria came on and said, no, we're willing to pay 1.9 for him. And Durban were like, well, that's not what we were. And all of us literally in the studio were going, geez, like, how much?
They came out guns blazing.
So obviously, there's a plan with him because he's got so much potential. He's a seriously good player.
And he gives you overs with the
Correct,
ball as
he can bowl. He's athletic in the field, but he's a serious batter. And for your future, in a place like Pretoria where you can get going, like I said, there's a little mini Quinton de Kock, similar technique, plays with freedom. If they can lock into what their talent is holding for the future, unbelievable buy. But he was probably the one where we all went, how much? So he was my one that stood out. But obviously we can mention the Brevis and the Markram money. That doesn't surprise me. That wasn't a surprise because we all predicted it was going to go in that ballpark. Maybe not as much, but in that ballpark.
The one thing that I'm really liking is the genuine push towards developing young talent. Yes. And obviously the under 23 sort of rule that they have in the SA20, how does that affect the planning of squads? How does it affect, the makeup of the teams? For you, is it a good thing to have such a thing in place? Yeah,
look, I think for me, what makes it so good is that in the past when they had the rookie signings where you had almost have an under 19 player, you sign him for a year. And then once the season's done, he moves on. Either he goes back into the auction or he doesn't even make it into the auction for another small auction.
Which can then end up being like a tick box exercise.
Correct. And then you're losing a player. Oh, no, we're bringing someone into the experience. No. Now, what guys are doing is they're going, right, we can sign an under 23 and we can build him for the future. Yes, he might not be on the biggest money, but we can build him for the future. And hopefully we can nurture him into the squad and almost build a little bit of loyalty, if you want to call it that, because auctions are you chopping and changing all the time. Half of these guys aren't going to be playing next year in the same team. So that's the reality of it. But with the under 23, you're giving teams an opportunity to build a team for the future. So naturally looking at a Brevis, I mentioned it last night, Brevis coming to Pretoria Capitals. They don't have a captain yet. So we don't know who it's going to be, but he could be captain in 5 years' time.
Let's look at some of those names there. Who could potentially...
if you look at it, Keshav Mara stands out straight away for me.
Yeah.
Is he going to play? That's the next question. But he stands out straight away to be a captain because, he's done it for the country. So he would be someone that you'd want. But that's why I look at Dewald Brevis because I go, he's 22 right now. You sign him on this massive contract. In 5 years' time, or 3 years' time, where he's probably turning 23, I think, just after the tournament. So 3 years' time, he's 25, turning 26. He's in his prime position to be captaining, So that's what the future holds for these players. And I think a lot of the guys will go into this as 19-year-olds, 20-year-olds going, I'm just going to enjoy the moment. No, now's the time to learn. Now's the time to push and put your hand up for a position in 3 years' time when the next auction's up. So listen, I think it's a great thing. Under 23, it brings more experienced players in. And that's almost a case of you can keep them a lot longer than you would usually with a rookie.
I think to throw another spanner in the works there. We've already spoken about Bryce Parsons. He's captain South Africa under 19.
Yeah.
He's another one who potentially, we don't know what they've looked at. We don't know. He's another one we potentially look at in the future and say, hey, maybe he could be a leader for this group.
Absolutely. And the reality is a guy like Bryce Parsons, he's good enough to all of a sudden hit the ground running, have an unbelievable tournament. And we've seen how quickly guys go to play for South Africa when they perform in the SA20. Selectors are selecting guys that are performing in the SA20, and that's what's also good about it. So he's definitely one of those guys. He's captain under 19s. He's played for the Dolphins for a few seasons. Now, maybe not reached the heights that he should have, but the potential is definitely there. The talent's definitely there. So 100%. You never know. He might develop into your opening / number 3 batter with Brevi in the middle, and he's smashing it around Supersport Park, or Centurion as we call it, smashing it around, and he's the obvious choice to be captain, and let Brevi just do his thing and smash it around like he's always been doing. So unbelievable. This is what this tournament's doing.
Man.
There's no reason why it can't be.
Look, we've obviously spoken on a few youngish players there. The blend, youth experience, always important in these sort of tournaments. For you, who probably strikes the balance well with regards to that?
I was looking at that.
I
was looking at that, and it's difficult at the moment for me to look past MI and Durban. You've got world beaters, you've got World Cup winners in Durban, you've got World Cup finalists, I'll call them that, semi-finalists and finalists in the MI squad. So for me, the youth and the slightly older boys, those two for me stand out, because you've got world-class players and you've got the younger guys coming through. They've signed well young, they've signed experience well, and you put those two balances together. And then coming in at third will probably have to be our SEC, the Sunrisers in the Eastern Cape, because they've got a lot of local players, which I really, really enjoyed yesterday. They pulled a lot of their local players that are playing around the country. They've almost brought them all home. And the one thing about P, or Ibecha, as we call it now, we know is that they are very passionate local supporters. And when you've got local players, there's an unbelievable connection that you have with that place. So they're the dark horses for me in terms of your experience and youth. But I think those two are leading it for me, MI and Durban.
I look across the board, when you look at the Super Kings franchises, they back experience, eh? And then you look at some of the players that they've roped in there.
It was an interesting auction for them. It was a difficult one for them. I think they banked on getting Brevis, but obviously Pretoria Capitals blew them out the water. But yeah, look, the reality is the senior players that they do have are seriously good. You know, they're guys that are still fit. They're still performing at the age of 40 plus. So they have the experience, and yes, you are very right. They love backing themselves an older player who's been in the show before. They've been in the show around the world, and they know how to handle pressure. So they've also got a great mix, and they're quite dangerous, I'll be honest. You never know what you're going to get from the Wanderers team. They've got a lot of pace, and they've got a lot of experience with the bats, and we all know if those guys get going, my goodness, they're going to be difficult to stop. So you wouldn't look at them and go, oh no, that's my leading pack. That's my leading squad that I would want. That's not the guys you look at, but they're always there. They're always hanging on, and they're always fighting for a spot, and they're flipping good at the Wanderers. So it's a good mixture, and it was a tough one for them, but I think they pulled it out the fire towards the end there.
All right, I looked at a few names that didn't get picked up. I think Jimmy Anderson was part of the. I think he's been playing in the 100, and that guy's forever young. Yeah. But I mean, for you, were there any surprises with regards to players not getting picked up?
I think the one that probably stood off him was a guy called Matthew Boast. 22-year-old. He's been in the SA20 before. He can bowl really quickly. He hits the ball properly with a left-handed bat, and a great person to have in the squad. I was actually looking at him to go and thinking he was one of the guys that was going to be on offer that guys were going to fly in, because he seriously offers you a lot. And like I say, he's 22 years old. He covers you under 23, and he can build for the future. He's only going to get better. He's made the move from Pretoria to PE now with domestic cricket. So, why not get him in? He was my guy that I definitely would have locked in first straight away and gone, well, he's my under 22. I'm my under 23. He covers that base, and we're good to go. We've got him. All-rounder. You always need an all-rounder, because we are the engine room. Don't forget.
Had to throw it in there.
Come on. But he was a guy that I think definitely should have gone in, and unfortunately missed out.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think we can debate around that all we want, but I have to ask. I mean, we've touched on it briefly. Brevis Markram, I mean, 16.5 bar, 14 bar. I mean, the form that they're in, on top of just the ability they have, has that really justified the price tag? I mean, you said you're not surprised.
So we actually, I mean, that's my wife's been very irritated with me, because I've been talking in the last 2 weeks. So I've been working out players, and we're working out potentially where they could go, who wants to, and 100%. They are Aiden Markram is our best batter in our country. That's that simple. And what he offers you with the ball, what he offers you in the field, but what he offers you with experience. That man is one of the biggest competitors I've ever met on a cricket field. He should have been a fast bowler. That man's so angry when he bowls. And you're like, bro, you're bowling 80 kilometers an hour. Like, let's just settle down. But watch him when he gets a wicket, like how vuss he gets. Like, he is unbelievable. And he's just a competitor. And his leadership skills what he does is he keeps everybody calm. There's a competitive spirit about him, and he wants to fight for anything, and he'll do anything for his team. But that man, he fights. And he keeps it so calm. And his leadership, I mean, he's a 3-time winning captain. Why wouldn't you? Or 3-time final captain. Why wouldn't you sign the man? So, yeah. And Brevi, I mean, come on. He's the hottest property in world cricket at the moment. And there's a reason why he got paid that much, because he bloody deserves it. It's simple as that. So I don't think we all thought 16. I literally ballparked Aiden at around 15 and Brevi at around 14. And, it was the other way around. But I'm just so chuffed for the boys, because it's an unbelievable recognition of what they've got. And for especially a guy like Aiden, he's been around for a long time now, and he's captaining the country in white ball cricket, and he's getting a lot of validation playing in other leagues and stuff. But to get it at home is incredible. So I'm very chuffed for both.
I have to throw this question to you. Does Aiden Markram get the captaincy?
Absolutely.
For DSG?
Absolutely. He's your captain. That's why you sign him. He's proven in the tournament why he should be captain. And and the thing is, he'll slot in straight there. He's got a lot of his mates playing with him. That's the first thing that you want to throw out there. When you put a happy Aiden Markram in a team, he's a dangerous Aiden Markram. And look, he's one of those guys that'll walk in and say, right, I need to prove why I'm worth that much. And my advice is you got bought for that much because you're worth that much. But he's the type of guy that'll, to be fair, whether he was bought for 500,000 or bought for 14 million, he still would have gone and said, I'm going to show you why I need to be here. But he's a leader of men, and he's 100% straight in there. He's got a lot of experience around him, a lot of international players, and I think he's going to be very competitive. I think it's a team that I wasn't a very good captain ever, but I think I would have liked to have captained them because they got a great squad.
Best value for money deals. Which team do you think were quite savvy with regards to the auction?
So I think, in terms of savvy, there's two that stick out for me. You got my Cape Town. I think they were brilliant with their pre-signings, and the players that they've got, I've got a lot of experience around the Cape area. So I think they were very good. But for me, I have to say, straight up, Sunrisers. With their local vibe that they've got, bringing their local players home, I thought they were absolutely brilliant. I think they've covered a lot of their bases. They've got a lot of explosive players. They've got some serious pace. If Anrich Nokia is fit, you've got Adam Milne, who also bowls rockets. And then you've got some of the other guys that can do their thing there. I tell you what, they're going to be an absolute handful. You've got Mutasamy plays.
They've got a really good bowling unit. I mean,
correct.
Janssen, you're looking at it. Luto Sipamla.
Bayes
Swanepoel is an incredible cricketer.
I played with Chris Wood in Hampshire, and
Rockets.
First of all, what a
Rockets.
beautiful man to have in the change room, but left arm, and I think he's the highest wicket taker for Hampshire in T20 cricket. So he's unbelievably experienced, great team man. And with the rest that you got there, you got a Quinton de Kock, you got a Matthew Bretsky, you got a Jody Bairstow. So all those names, you put them together, the King Boys, when we talk about future, you got the King Boys, you got the 3-time MVP, Marco Jansen. So you've got a bowling attack there, and you've got guys who can take a game away from you with the balls. With a bat. So they are covered, value for money.
That is an exciting team.
I think they're going to be seriously difficult. And the more I look at the squads, because I got asked to pick my favorite squad, who I think is going to win. I walked in here with an idea, and I'm leaving with no idea, because the more I look at them, the more I go, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I know.
And remember, I've predicted 2 out of 3 winners. Don't forget that. Thank you.
All right.
2 out of 3. Bang.
I'm calling you up. I'm calling you up.
Well, you happen to know people at Betway, so that's fine.
Look, salary cap. I guess it always brings its own sort of challenge, but how big is it in terms of shaping, how, those bidding wars and those, final squad really are composed?
Yeah, look, I think it all depends on who your pre-signings are. I think that's where the crux of the matter is. If you spend a lot of money on your retainees and your pre-signings, obviously, you look at Sunrisers, potentially, I don't know what the story is. I don't know what happened with Aiden, if there was a breakdown in communication. We don't know that, but you look at it and you go, they didn't have enough money for Aiden. And what players can do, if they get offered to be retained, they can say, listen, thank you, but I'd rather take my chances in the auction, and I think I might get more money there.
In basketball, they call it free agency.
Correct.
So is that the same term that is used in...
Well, I hope so. I hope so. But we just say, no, well, cricketers just go, listen, I think I can get more in the auction. Thanks very much. I think Brevi was in the same boat. He got offered something by MI, and he was like, no, I'd rather take my chances. That's why MI went for him last night, because they wanted him back. So... you can take that chance, but the salary cap, like I say, for me, it's all about your pre-signings. Pretoria Capitals, they only had 3 signings before, so they had a potty load of money. Durban were the same. They decided to they didn't have very good seasons. Season 1, they were good. Pretoria Capitals, 2 and 3, shocking. Durban, first season, not bad. Second season, finalist. Third season, not great. So they almost flogged their whole squad. Sunrisers were the same. Paul were the same, but their pre-signings all were small. That's why they had a lot of money. So once you can do that, then you can afford to go massive on a certain player and then work your squad around what you have. So salary cap, look, listen, it's a big salary cap. And I made the joke last night with Mark Barcher. I said, 20 years ago, what would you have thought about if people you heard cricketers being paid now? And then I changed it to 30 years ago because when he was playing. So what would you have done if you had players who were being paid this now? And he was just ridiculous. It's awesome. Like it is, it's amazing.
Yeah.
But that's 41 million rand. It looks like a lot of money, but when you've got big name players and pre-signings, you need to be very, very sharp on what you want, because remember the other squads want your players too. So it's a tough one. And I saw a few of the owners last night. They were sweating, and then they were drained. They were just finished because you're looking at a screen the whole day. You're lifting your paddle. It's just not. It's chaos. But yeah, it is tough. But that's where the strategy comes in.
You've spoken about, some of the international players that we've had. And sometimes, even if you're signing a sure thing, it can be hit and miss, in terms of just those players coming in and adapting. Then there's some players that come in. I mean, I look at a player that has gone to JSK, Daniel Worrell. He is unbelievable. Yeah, if you don't know Daniel Worrell, he's a serious bowler, that guy. I mean, when he was at Sunrisers, he was incredible for them. You get players like that come in that maybe we don't know from an international point of view, because obviously Australian, but plays in England these days.
Yeah.
Then you get guys like, we had Jordan Cox before, didn't quite work out, but a talented cricketer. For you, how important is it to as when you bring in those international guys, that you're getting the right sort of personnel to come on board? I
think there's a lot that goes into it. I think there's a lot of recent form bias, if that's what they call it. Guys that are in form at the moment. So a guy like Jordan Cox now, if he was in the auction last night, wasn't picked up, base price a little bit high, but he's in red hot form at the moment. So it wouldn't surprise me if someone had to pick him up, because he is at the moment, as they call, recent form bias. But it is important. There's a lot of work that goes into it. And if you look at all the international players that are in these squads, a lot of the guys have played with each other somewhere around the world, whether it be Kane cricket, whether it be RPL, whether it be Big Bash or whatever it is, they've played together somewhere. So coaches will always ask you, listen, does this guy chop or not? And no, great team, man. So straight away when I said about Chris Wood, I know him, I played with him at Hampshire, unbelievable man in the change room. His pedigree, with his record speaks for itself. But as a team person, unbelievable human. And then that's what coaches look at. So I think the first thing you do is you go, obviously the guy's talented. Obviously he's a jet. He knows what he's doing. But is he going to affect my change room? You look at a guy like Dane Pitt. Dane Pitt last year got signed by my Cape Town. No one thought he would have gotten signed. He played one game, but he was such value in that change room and created a completely different vibe from the first 2 seasons. By all accounts, the vibe wasn't really great in Cape Town. I mean, living in Cape Town, it's not the worst place in the world, but the vibe in the team wasn't great. You bring a guy like Dane Pitt in and change the whole complexity of the change room. The change room was laughing, the change room was happy. And when you've got happy cricketers, that's when stuff happens on the field. So, perfect example. You get a guy in, experienced player, lovely guy, and knows how to keep people calm. And more importantly, as I like to do around the world, is make people laugh. And you bring those guys in, and all of a sudden you've got the gel. So I think there's a lot that goes into, apart from the talents there by itself, their record speaks. But if they're a good person, they're more than likely going to get a gig.
And for you, which overseas player are you expecting to potentially make a big impact this season?
A new one or one that's already there?
You can have one of each.
I think it's very, very difficult to look past. Obviously, people know what Trent Bolt can do. He had a great season last year. But I am looking forward to probably the most is to watch Nicholas Pooran play. I think he is an absolute jet. The man does not die wondering. He walks in and plays.
From the hip, baby.
He plays. But the problem is that he hits in the funny areas. And second of all, he's not scared of pace. And third of all, the man barely mishits the ball. And it puts you under pressure as a bowler straight away. And a new guy walks in after you get a wicket. You think, oh, I'm up, I'm ready to go. And you drop it slightly short. First ball's in the stands. You're going, okay, here we go. And South Africa's quite a nice place to bat, So I think I'm very excited to watch him. I like Richard Gleeson. He's an older bully. I think he's 39 now, but the man still bowls absolute rockets. And you get him at the Wanderers on a green one. Oh my goodness. That's going to be fun to watch. So I like the look of those two. I mean, obviously there's so much talent. Andre Russell coming to Pretoria. We know what he can do. He's got a pedigree on his own. Will Jacks, if he gets going. We've seen what he did in season 1. So there's so many guys. All the spinners, overseas spinners. I mean, Sunil Narayan in Durban is going to be impossible.
Yeah.
You've got Noor, Sunil Narayan. In Paul, you've got Mujib. So there's so many guys that you look at and you go, oh my days. this is going to be a seriously good tournament. So again, you're messing with my head with squads because I don't know who to
brother, I
support.
didn't mean to.
But those are my guys I want to see. It's such a nice overseas player. I mean, as an overseas mix, Rashid Khan in Cape Town. It's just there's you sport for choice in this tournament of seriously specialized T20 players.
I'm happy that you're bringing up Cape Town because I want to know, can they repeat their success? They've retained quite a lot of their players, and they didn't have a huge amount of activity, but can they? I mean, they're one of the storied franchises when you look at Mumbai Indians, for example. Can they repeat that success that they had last season?
Absolutely. They have got some serious experience. Obviously, you've got your 7 players that they retain, so that's their core. And in those 7 players, like I mentioned in the beginning, they covered 20 overs. And in those 20 overs, there's not much to get away from there. You've got Corbin Bosch, who's seriously good form at the moment. Trent Bolt, Rashid Khan, George Linder, KG Rabada. I think they'll be okay in terms of their 20 overs.
It's all right.
And then they've got other options as well. So you look at those guys that they've signed straight away. I mean, they've got a seriously well-experienced squad of players that have won around the world. So they definitely can do it. There's no reason why not. Obviously, they're going up against some seriously good squads. And I think where they were great this year is that they travelled well, but they were also very good at home. And you get Rickleton up at the top there. Woo, come on.
Listen.
And Rassi, wow.
Listen. Things are moving.
There's some power there, eh?
Throw in razzle dazzle.
No, they definitely can.
Reza Hendricks in the mix. Things can happen.
Please don't ever show Reza bowling, please.
It's a serious bowler. Bowling option.
Net bowler.
Hey, Reza didn't say it. But
you think it, I say it. We're good.
Next question. All right, Paul Royals. I mean, we saw them before. Bringing in your roots, your Dinesh Kartiks, but there seems to be a bigger focus on youth for them. Is that something that can hold them in good stead?
Yeah.
Or you're a little bit surprised by that?
It could be. I was surprised by the auction they had. I mean, a lot of people said that a shocking auction. Like if you look at the players, they've got some seriously good players there. But I think what they are missing, they've got Ishan Malinga, who's a seamer, Huddersfield who can bowl. He's bowling really nice at the moment. Slightly older, but he's a seriously good bowler. Runs in all day. So Otniel Bartman for me was the most important buy for them because
he's a serious cricketer.
In those conditions, ball that keeps slightly low, and we know how he starts to tail the ball back towards the end with a reverse swing, and he's a guy that wants to bowl at the death. So I think that was the key to the puzzle that we were going, flip, they're missing out, so they need fast bowlers. Because remember, you play someone else in the country, you need to have quick bowlers. If you look at how many spinners they've got, I can guarantee you there's a lot of other teams that are going, right, we're going to prepare a green quick one, and we're going to fight out some runs there, but our bowlers are going to run through them. So with a lot of experience, you've got Bjorn Fontaine, who's brilliant, David Miller captaining, Daniel Lawrence, who know what he can do. I'm just got a question mark if he's going to be in the Ashes or not, because if he's in the Ashes, then they're going to have to find someone else. But it was a different auction for them, because usually, last year they had Joe Root. Joe Root was such a core player for them, He got runs first of all, but he was such a big name in the change, and everybody loved him, having him around. So without him being there, the other guys are going to have to step up. But yeah, tough auction for them. A lot of youngsters, they've always been like at Rajasthan. If Rajasthan Royals, the same franchise with Paul Royals. They've got 17-year-olds playing in the IPL. So they've always been like that with youngsters. You think back to Sanju
Samson. A 13-year-old hit 100?
He's 17.
He's 14. How old is he? 13?
15 teen.
He's 13. He's
17.
14. How old is he, Phil? Nah, he's got 100.
Just cricket age.
Cut that.
No, don't you can't put that on, but I'm going to be cancelled in India. But yeah, so also the signing that I love the most, that I was hoping to go for quite a big, was Delano Potgieter. I thought he, as an all-rounder, you have to have him. And a place like Paul, a little bit difficult for him to be playing with as much freedom as he did playing in Cape Town. But he's a half-out player, but I think he's a great signing for them. So, got a lot of young guys building for the future. But Kumar Sangakkara is not dumb. He's not an idiot. That man knows exactly what he's doing. So for him to pick his squad that he potentially maybe wanted a little bit more, I know they were after Rassi pretty hard, but they couldn't get him, unfortunately. But, look, Paul have always been fighters. They've always been scrappers. And it's a tough place to go play when you in Paul and the opposition crowd are on you. It's a tough place to go. So I think they are going to be someone to watch. I think they're a little bit would be upset to themselves that Kunama Parker went for 2 point something, Lungangidi went for 2 point something. So they miss out on those two bowlers, but their replacements I mean, they're not the worst, so they'll be okay. But like I say, I think they were out of the whole auction. You look at them and go, maybe they didn't get the players they wanted. But look, the replacements, as I said, you never know what they're going to bring apart because they're always competitive. They're scrappers.
I know your head is spinning a little bit, right?
We're good.
But I need to ask you, just look at the paper there in front of you. Which team looks strongest on paper? Like I need a head on the block now. I don't need you to tell me about maybe this. No. I need you. I'll give you a few seconds.
Give me a minute, yeah.
Give you a few seconds.
Because I'm still fresh off the auction. The wound is still open. I even got no players' names wrong last night. It was great. I somehow struggle to look past Sunrisers. So I'm going to break it down in 3. I'm going to try to give you my semi-finalists. How's that for
I love that.
How's that for
Head on the block, baby. This is how we do it.
Let me go my top 4. I'm going to do it now, and it'll probably change after I see, because I usually call who's going to win after the season starts. Not the SA20, the actual season where I can see who's playing well, who's in what. So I usually look at like domestic cricket and see who's in red hot form. So currently on paper, I would have to say my top 4, and this is harsh for me to do this now, the day after the auction. But on paper, I would probably have to remove these 2.
So we're removing the Royals and JSK.
Removing one Highveld team and one coastal team. And I think those will be my top 4 in no particular order for now. But like I say, in the season, in a couple of months' time, this could potentially change because I need to see who's doing what. But I think as I stand on paper, I would probably have to say these 4 are my top 4. Now I'm trying to look at who's going to be my finalists. Not going to happen.
Put his head on the block. All right.
I've given you enough.
It's harsh, he says, but I understand.
I've given you enough. I can't go further than this.
My Cape Town, Sunrisers Eastern Cape, Durban Super Giants, Pretoria Capitals.
And Pretoria Capitals is not because I live in Pretoria and I was born and bred there. They've just got a good team. Okay. Connor Esterhuizen, who plays for the Capitals. Not my Cape Town, as I said last night. He's going to be a Jet. He's a serious player. So I think they've got a very good squad. Experienced, loaded, local talent, know their conditions, play for a slightly different cause than the rest of the other teams in terms of local defending champs. So I think those are my top 4 for now. They might change, they might not. We'll see how it goes, but I'm sticking with it. And you can't change it. It's now on camera.
It's tough, eh?
It's tough at the top.
Hello, Faf.
Yeah, tell him.
No.
Tell him.
Chris just said you are not making the semis, brother.
And tell him, you know where Brevis isn't good.
All right. So, I mean, you've obviously mentioned like a Connor Esterhuizen. Wouldn't call him a breakout star because last season he was fun. He was really good for my Cape Town. Which potential breakout stars under 23?
Under 23.
Do you think could be really good this season? And I asked that question because I think there's a lot of people that are always familiar with the main guys, the Proteas guys and the overseas players that play internationally, and sometimes not quite clued up on some of the up-and-coming guys. So for you, who stands out as potentially?
So if we go under 23, so I mean, let's get rid of Dewald, Brevis, let's get rid of Quinn Mapaka, let's get rid of Leandro Pretorius. Those are your under 23s that everybody knows. There's a guy that I get very excited about being a bowler myself. Former bowler. There's a guy that plays for my Cape Town. His name's Tristan Loos. He's currently playing for South Africa A. He's the guy with the glasses, if you don't remember. I am a massive fan of what he does. I think the guy's got some serious skill. He's just gone to the MLC in America with MI New York. They won the trophy there. So he's got a lot of experience now. He's playing for South Africa A. And he's done some seriously good work with the Dolphins in the last 2 years of being an S19 bowler. So a massive fan. He's only going to get quicker, which I really enjoy, but he's got a lot of skill and he bowls with heart. So he's my under 23 that I would, first of all, if he gets a game, we don't know in that my Cape Town team, but I'm a massive fan of his. I think he's going to be a Jet.
All right. That's the breakout star potentially for Chris Morris. Is there any other one that you may look at?
The King boys from the King brothers from Sunrisers, they played the Warriors. They've got some serious potential. They're still very, very young. No, not very, very young. They're 22, but in terms of experience, I think the more they play, the better they'll get. I think they'll be very, very good. And if I look at the other ones, Mikael Prince, good player, keeper batter. He's shown a lot of promise with Northwest. like a bit more consistency from him, but the boy can play seriously good. Steve Stolk, Pretoria boy.
Can hit it.
How can I forget?
He can hit it fine,
The
mate.
man can hit a cricket ball. Man, him and Leandro Pretorius used to play together in the under-19s, and
That was not fair.
That's one thing he can
That was
do.
not fair. That opening partnership wasn't fair.
That man
age, yeah.
can smash a cricket ball. He seriously, he can. I mean, Keegan Leon Cachet, we've seen what he can do. I mean, he had a few goals last year in the SA20 with the Capitals. So he signed with the Titans in Pretoria now. So he'll be raring to go, trying to prove a point. And by all accounts, what I saw, technique's good, got a lot of time, doesn't mind the short ball, which is good. Interesting to see how he plays in Paul, but he's another one to look out for, So the talent's there with under 23s, and obviously you exclude the big three, you still got some serious players coming through.
Lastly, head on the block. Are you ready? Which franchise for you has the most pressure to perform based on their outlay?
Sure. I'll probably have to say it's probably going to have to be between Durban and Capitals because they've got the two big signings. Naturally, that's where you're going to go. My Capital will have natural pressure because they're defending champs, so that'll be there. But I think the guys that have got the two big signings, obviously with all the eyes going to be on Markram and Brevis, they're going to be expected to perform. Saurav Ganguly said something brilliant last night. He said, I don't relate money to performance. That's simple, which I think is great because whether you go for 200,000 Rand or you go for 16 million Rand, you still got to perform at your best. So once you cross the line, it doesn't matter how much you went for. So I think they would naturally be under pressure because they've got the two big signings. But I think my Cape Town would, as defending champs, would probably have to feel the most pressure just because they are defending champs. But yeah, I mean, that's a tough one because I think everybody, I mean, JSK would probably been upset that they haven't won one yet. I think they're probably the guys that have gone, flip, we've got our pedigree of obviously in RPL and stuff, but we should have won one. Paul, I think, will be under pressure just because, with the signings they made and not getting all the players they wanted, one or two of them, they will probably be under pressure thinking, all right, people are going to think we're the underdogs. And on that's pressure. And, that's probably the way they like to do it. Think that we're the underdogs and we come from there. I think this Sunrise isn't pressure. I think that's the last thing they want to do is disappoint their fans. I played 2 seasons in a T20 comp in PE, and it was so nice to play for them and not against them because it's ruthless to go there. But I think they've got a natural bond and a natural feeling with that whole stadium and the crowd that they wouldn't want to let them down. So I don't think it's pressure to perform. I think it's pressure not to let their supporters down. But yeah, I've said a lot of absolute rubbish there. It means nothing. So I'm going to go straight to Durban and Pretoria just because they've got the big signings. Done.
I love it. The post-auction reaction with my boy Chris Morris. Yeah, look, I think it's time for us to let him go. Director, we're out. Bye-bye.
Deuces.